Retirement should be your golden years, a time to kick back, soak up the sun, and enjoy the fruits of decades of hard work. But what if I told you that some destinations could turn your dream retirement into a full-blown nightmare? Yes, there are places where Black retirees face more than just high living costs or visa headaches. We're talking about racial discrimination, unsafe environments, and policies that practically scream, "You're not welcome here." In this video, 10 countries Black retirees should avoid at all costs outside of the United States. Be warned. We'll explore countries that may seem like great places to retire, but could leave you fighting bureaucracy, feeling isolated, or worse, questioning your decision to leave the US. From strict immigration laws and social security risks to places where your retirement funds might not stretch as far as you'd think, this list is crucial for anyone considering moving abroad. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Watch until the end to avoid a retirement disaster and find out where not to go. Hit that subscribe button for more insights on retirement planning, safe destinations, and the best places for Black expats. Number 10. South Africa. You've worked hard, saved up, and now you're ready to enjoy a peaceful retirement abroad. But before you start packing your bags for South Africa, let's talk. Because unless you plan on hiring a personal security team and learning evasive driving techniques, this might not be the paradise you were hoping for. South Africa has one of the highest crime rates in the world. In 2023 alone, there were over 27,000 murders reported. That's about 75 homicides per day. Johannesburg and Cape Town, two of the most sought-after cities, consistently rank among the most dangerous places globally. Muggings, carjackings, and home invasions? Unfortunately, they're not rare occurrences. Even gated communities with electric fences aren't immune. Now, ask yourself, do you really want to spend your golden years constantly looking over your shoulder or wondering if your retirement villa will still have power tomorrow? Because load shedding is a real thing here too. If you visit Cape Town's V&A waterfront or Sandton in Johannesburg, you might think, wow, this is nice. But drive just a few miles out and you'll see a completely different South Africa. One where millions live in informal settlements, struggling with poverty. The wealth gap here is one of the worst in the world. South Africa's Gini coefficient, which measures income inequality, is a staggering 0.63, making it the most unequal country on Earth. What does that mean for you? High crime, unreliable infrastructure, and services that cater more to survival than luxury living. Yes, your US dollars might stretch further here, but they won't buy you peace of mind. When even local residents complain about safety and infrastructure, you might want to reconsider spending your retirement savings here. South Africa's political scene makes reality TV look boring. Between corruption scandals, economic mismanagement, and power struggles that never seem to end, long-term stability is far from guaranteed. Load shedding, rolling blackouts, is a daily struggle thanks to Eskom, the state-owned power supplier that can't keep the lights on. In 2023, South Africans faced over 250 days of power cuts. That's more than 2/3 of the year. Imagine planning a peaceful evening only to be plunged into darkness again. And let's not forget the protests. South Africa sees frequent civil unrest, worker strikes, and political clashes that can turn violent with little warning. If you're looking for a stress-free retirement, this kind of unpredictability is not exactly what you want. So, do you really want to retire somewhere that requires an emergency plan just to live day to day? Sure, the landscapes are stunning, and the people can be warm and welcoming. But a beautiful sunset over Table Mountain won't protect your retirement savings or personal safety. Let's be honest, you've worked too hard to spend your golden years playing a real-life game of Grand Theft Auto. So, if safety, stability, and reliable infrastructure matter to you, South Africa might not be the retirement dream you're looking for. Number 9. Brazil. Brazil has some of the highest violent crime rates in the world. In 2023, the country reported over 47,000 homicides, and in major cities like Rio de Janeiro and São Paulo, crime isn't just a concern, it's a way of life. Imagine stepping out for a morning stroll along Copacabana Beach, only to have your phone snatched faster than you can say, "Obrigado." Pickpocketing, armed robberies, and express kidnappings. Yes, that's a thing. where criminals force you to withdraw money from an ATM before releasing you, are so common that even locals advise against wearing jewelry in public. Do you really want to spend your golden years in a place where your daily exercise includes dodging street crime? Retirement is supposed to be about financial security, but in Brazil, the economy is about as predictable as the country's World Cup performance. Brilliant one year, a total disaster the next. The Brazilian real, BRL, is one of the most volatile currencies in the world. One day, your US dollars will get you a beachfront apartment, and the next, they'll barely cover groceries. Inflation spikes, political corruption, and constant shifts in leadership create an economic environment so unstable that even seasoned investors tread carefully. Do you really want to wake up one morning and find out your retirement savings have lost half their value overnight? Brazil does offer free public health care, but before you get too excited, let's break it down. Overcrowded hospitals, underpaid doctors, and wait times so long you could probably grow old waiting for an appointment. Need surgery? You might be waiting months, if not years, for a procedure that could be done in days elsewhere. The alternative? Private healthcare, but that comes with a hefty price tag, one that could easily drain your retirement savings faster than a beachside caipirinha. And let's not forget language barriers. Unless you're fluent in Portuguese, navigating the healthcare system can feel like trying to solve a Rubik's Cube, blindfolded. Sure, Brazil has gorgeous beaches, incredible food, and a lively culture, but none of that matters if you don't feel safe, financially stable, or healthy. Would you trade your peace of mind for cheap rent and sunshine? Or do you value your safety, financial security, and access to quality healthcare more? Number 8. Poland. Poland isn't the most foreigner-friendly country, especially for black retirees. Over the past few years, anti-immigration rhetoric has been on the rise, with nationalist movements gaining traction. Some locals aren't exactly shy about expressing their concerns over outsiders moving in. Now, you might be thinking, but I'm just here to retire, mind my business, and enjoy life. And that's a great plan, until you realize that blending in is not an option. Poland is one of the most ethnically homogeneous countries in Europe, with over 97% of the population identifying as Polish. In some areas, you might go weeks without seeing another black person. Ever felt like a celebrity with all eyes on you? Well, imagine that. But instead of autograph requests, it's curious stares, awkward interactions, and the occasional ignorant comment. If you're planning on learning Polish, good luck. The language is so difficult that even AI translation apps struggle with it. But here's the real issue. English proficiency is low, especially outside major cities like Warsaw and Krakow. Need directions? Ordering food? Calling for help? Prepare for some serious miming and a game of linguistic charades. And if you think government offices, hospitals, or customer service lines are any different, think again. Imagine trying to explain a medical emergency using Google Translate while the receptionist looks at you like you just landed from Mars. Retirement should be stress-free, not a daily language boot camp. Now let's talk about building a community. You want to retire somewhere with social connections, right? Somewhere you can meet new people, make friends, and actually have conversations that don't involve a translation app? Well, good luck with that in Poland. Expats here often report feeling isolated, especially outside the major cities. And while Poland has a growing expat scene, the black expat community is tiny. If you're used to diversity and cultural exchange, Poland might feel, well, a little lonely. Sure, Poland is cheap, has stunning architecture, and serves up some amazing pierogi. But is that enough to overlook the stares, the language struggles, and the social isolation? Your retirement should be about comfort, not constantly feeling like an outsider. Number 7. Hungary. Hungary has a reputation for gorgeous castles, thermal baths, and a government that loves nationalism just a little too much. In recent years, the political climate has become increasingly hostile toward immigrants and foreigners. With strict anti-immigration policies and public rhetoric that often paints outsiders as threats, black retirees might find themselves feeling more like intruders than welcomed guests. Now you might be thinking, but I'm just here to retire, not start a political debate. And that's great, except the nationalist atmosphere trickles down into everyday interactions. Some expats have reported feeling unwelcome, And while Hungary isn't the most openly aggressive place toward foreigners, it's certainly not known for its warm embrace of diversity. So, unless you enjoy feeling like an unwanted houseguest in a country that prides itself on keeping things traditional, Hungary might not be your best bet. Let's be honest, moving abroad is easier when there's a strong expat community. Having people around who share your experiences and speak your language can make all the difference in feeling at home. But in Hungary, the expat community is small and shrinking. Unlike other European cities that are hotspots for retirees, Budapest doesn't have a large network of Black expats or English-speaking retirees. Sure, you'll find a few, but don't expect meetups, social clubs, or a thriving international scene. Instead, you'll likely be navigating life solo in a place where even ordering groceries can feel like an Olympic-level challenge. And speaking of challenges, Hungary has a reputation for complicated residency procedures, strict visa requirements, and enough red tape to wrap an entire castle. Even EU citizens have to deal with paperwork nightmares, so imagine what it's like for an American retiree trying to settle down here. Need a visa? Prepare for a maze of confusing rules, paperwork in Hungarian, and government offices that make the DMV look efficient. Want to buy property? The legal process can be so frustrating that many expats give up before they even sign a lease. Retirement should be about peace of mind, not endless government forms and rules that seem to change depending on which official you talk to. Yes, Hungary is cheap, stunning, and rich in history. But affordable rent and scenic views won't make up for feeling unwelcome, struggling with language barriers, or drowning in paperwork. So, do you really want to spend your golden years jumping through bureaucratic hoops in a country that doesn't exactly roll out the welcome mat for foreigners? Number 6. Turkey. Retirement is supposed to be predictable. You want stability, security, and a place where you don't have to check the news every morning to see if the economy has collapsed overnight. So let's talk about Turkey, a country that looks like a dream on Instagram, but might be a logistical nightmare for a Black retiree. Turkey's economy is all over the place. Inflation is skyrocketing. The currency, Turkish lira, loses value faster than ice melts in the sun, and living costs fluctuate so wildly that one day your pension is enough, and the next, it barely covers groceries. In 2023, inflation hit over 64%, and experts predict ongoing instability. Imagine moving here thinking your US dollars will stretch far, only to find out that next month, your retirement budget buys half of what it did before. Not exactly the kind of excitement you want in retirement, right? You'd think Turkey, with its stunning coastlines and thriving tourism, would make it easy for foreigners to retire there. But no, visa rules are a moving target. 1 year, retirees are welcome. The next, suddenly, long-term residency rules change, and you're scrambling to figure out if you can stay. Expats have been blindsided by abrupt policy shifts, and some have been forced to leave unexpectedly. Do you really want to spend your retirement wondering if next year's law change will send you packing? Turkey is known for its warm hospitality, until it isn't. While many people are welcoming, there are frequent reports of racism and xenophobia, especially toward Black expats. From suspicious stares to outright hostility, many Black travelers and expats have shared experiences of feeling unwelcome, especially outside of tourist-heavy areas like Istanbul and Antalya. Some report being denied housing, overcharged simply for being foreign, or facing difficulty in professional and social settings. Sure, you can enjoy a Turkish coffee in peace in certain areas, but do you really want to live in a place where you might be treated differently just for existing? Yes, the food is incredible, the landscapes are stunning, and the Mediterranean coast is breathtaking. But a beautiful view doesn't fix economic instability, visa struggles, and social discrimination. So, would you trade peace of mind for unpredictable policies and financial insecurity? Hold up. Before we dive into the next country, let me ask you, would you be willing to risk your peace of mind just for cheaper living costs? Because so far, we've seen places where Black retirees might face safety issues, economic instability, and even outright discrimination. And trust me, the next countries on this list, they don't get any better. If you're enjoying this breakdown, hit that like button so more people can see this important information. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian for more deep dives on the best and worst places to retire abroad. Alright, let's keep going, because the next country? It's even more shocking than you think. Number 5. Saudi Arabia. So, you want to retire somewhere warm, right? A place where the sun shines year-round, the cost of living is reasonable, and the healthcare is solid? Well, Saudi Arabia does check some of those boxes. But unless you enjoy living under strict rules that make boarding school look like a free-for-all, you might want to reconsider. Saudi Arabia has some of the strictest laws and regulations in the world. There's a dress code, yes, even for foreigners, a ban on alcohol, and serious restrictions on free speech. Want to casually vent about the government on Facebook? Don't. Thinking about holding hands with your partner in public? Better not. Feel like wearing shorts on a hot day? Only if you enjoy public shaming. Saudi Arabia isn't the place where you can just live your life. It's the place where you follow a long list of rules, or face some very real consequences. Saudi Arabia is officially an Islamic state, and that means if you're not Muslim, life here can be complicated. Non-Muslim places of worship? Banned. Public celebrations of non-Islamic holidays? Not happening. Want to bring a Bible or any other religious text? Better hope customs doesn't check your bags. Now, if you're Muslim, you might think, well, that's not a problem for me. And that's fair, but keep in mind that religion is deeply intertwined with daily life here. There are rules around prayer times, gender segregation, and even how businesses operate. Even for practicing Muslims, the strict interpretation of Islam can take some getting used to. Saudi Arabia has a long history of human rights issues, and let's just say, things haven't exactly improved much. Freedom of speech? Nope. Protests? Illegal. Criticizing the royal family? That could get you jailed, or worse. And for black expats? Let's just say discrimination isn't unheard of. The infamous kafala system, which has long controlled foreign workers, has led to horrific abuses, racism, and even modern-day slavery allegations. While changes have been made, Saudi society still carries deeply rooted biases against black people. Unless your idea of a fun retirement includes constantly watching your words, following a long list of do's and don'ts, and never sipping a glass of wine again, Saudi Arabia might not be the dream destination you're looking for. Would you really trade your freedom for low taxes and luxury malls? Or do you value a retirement where you can actually relax? Number 4. India. Thinking about retiring in India, you're picturing serene spiritual retreats, mouth-watering curries, and an affordable lifestyle. Sounds perfect, right? But hold that thought. Unless your dream retirement involves endless paperwork, choking on pollution, and feeling like a walking spectacle everywhere you go, you might want to reconsider. India doesn't have a dedicated retirement visa, so you'll be jumping through hoops just to stay legally. You could go for a business visa, which makes no sense for retirement, a tourist visa, which means constantly leaving and re-entering the country, or, if you're feeling particularly ambitious, trying for a long-term residency permit, which involves enough paperwork to reforest the Amazon. Ever dream of spending your retirement standing in endless government lines, filling out forms that seem designed to confuse you? India's got you covered. India is one of the most ethnically diverse countries in the world. But here's the catch. Diversity doesn't always mean inclusivity. The country has a long history of colorism where lighter skin is often seen as more desirable, a mindset deeply ingrained in the culture. Walk through a grocery store and you'll find entire aisles dedicated to skin-lightening products. That should tell you something. For black retirees, this can mean stares, invasive questions, and the occasional ignorance-fueled assumptions. Some expats have reported being treated like a novelty, or, worse, dealing with outright discrimination. And let's not even get into the complex caste system, which still influences social interactions, business dealings, and even where people can live. So do you really want to spend your golden years explaining that no, you're not a Bollywood star, and yes, you actually live here? If you thought rush hour in New York was bad, wait until you experience an average Tuesday in Mumbai. India's major cities are beyond crowded, with streets so packed that even pigeons have trouble finding space to land. In 2023, India had 14 of the world's 20 most polluted cities. In Delhi, breathing the air on a bad day is equivalent to smoking 25 cigarettes. That's right, just stepping outside could shorten your retirement faster than a lifetime of bad habits. Want to enjoy a peaceful morning walk? You'll be dodging rickshaws, street vendors, cows, and more people than you've ever seen in one place. Hope you like chaos, because in India, it's a lifestyle. Yes, India is rich in culture, food, and history. But is that enough to compensate for the bureaucracy, pollution, and social hurdles? Your golden years should be relaxing, not an endurance test. So would you trade peace and quiet for paperwork, staring contests with strangers, and a lung workout every time you breathe? Number 3, China. Retirement should be simple. You want a comfortable place, a relaxed lifestyle, and maybe some good food to enjoy along the way. But what happens when your new home watches your every move, censors what you say, and makes you jump through hoops just to exist? Welcome to China, a country that might seem appealing at first, but retiring here comes with more fine print than a phone contract. China is the undisputed world champion of government surveillance. Cameras on every corner, facial recognition software, and internet monitoring that makes private browsing laughable. Ever had your phone mysteriously slow down after mentioning something critical of the government? Well, in China, that's just another Tuesday. Foreigners live under extra scrutiny, and you can forget about using Google, YouTube, or even WhatsApp freely, because China's Great Firewall blocks most Western apps. Imagine trying to video call your family back home, only to realize you need a VPN that works, until it doesn't. And don't even think about discussing politics or criticizing the government. That's not an opinion, it's an offense. Now, let's talk about how it actually feels to be black in China. If you've ever wanted to know what it's like to be a celebrity, minus the red carpet perks, then you're in for a ride. People will stare, take pictures without asking, and maybe even try to touch your skin or hair. Sounds amusing at first, but trust me, it gets old fast. Black expats have reported struggles with discrimination in housing, employment, and even social interactions. Some landlords refuse to rent to black foreigners, and job opportunities can be limited simply because of how you look. And while China has a growing expat community, it's still far from the diversity and inclusivity you might be used to. Would you really want to spend your retirement explaining that no, your skin color isn't a sunburn, and yes, you actually live here? China has 2 healthcare options: public, cheap but unreliable, and private, great but expensive. The public system is overcrowded, doctors rush through patients like they're on a stopwatch, and bedside manner? Let's just say it's optional. Foreigners often struggle to get proper treatment due to language barriers, and good luck finding a doctor who understands the specific healthcare needs of black patients. If you don't speak Mandarin, your medical visit might turn into a game of charades, one where the prize is hoping you got the right prescription. Yes, China has a rich history, amazing food, and stunning landscapes. But none of that makes up for the surveillance, discrimination, and frustrating bureaucracy. Would you trade your freedom and peace of mind for dumplings and the Great Wall? Or would you rather retire somewhere that actually lets you breathe, without tracking every move you make? Number 2, Ukraine. Ukraine is literally at war. As of 2024, the conflict with Russia is ongoing, and unless your idea of staying active involves dodging missiles, this is not the place to spend your golden years. Infrastructure is unpredictable, entire cities have been devastated, and rebuilding efforts are slow. The power grid? Hit or miss. Running water? Depends on where you are. Some areas are safe one day and an evacuation zone the next. Would you really want to spend your retirement wondering if today's grocery run comes with a free adrenaline rush? Even before the war, Ukraine was one of the poorest countries in Europe. Now, the economy is struggling to keep the lights on, literally. Inflation is through the roof, jobs are scarce, and the cost of living is a roller coaster ride you didn't sign up for. Retiring here might seem cheap at first glance, but with an unstable economy, your savings could lose value faster than a New Year's resolution. And let's talk healthcare, because you're going to need a solid plan. Many hospitals lack basic medical supplies, and finding a doctor who speaks English? Good luck. You might as well start brushing up on your medical vocabulary in Ukrainian. Speaking of language, Ukraine is not exactly an expat-friendly destination. Outside of Kiev and a few major cities, English speakers are about as rare as warm winters here. Simple tasks, like ordering food, getting a taxi, or asking for directions, turn into frustrating guessing games. Imagine trying to explain a medical emergency or negotiating rent without Google Translate working. You might get lucky and meet someone willing to help, but don't expect it to be easy. Unless you're fluent in Ukrainian or Russian, prepare for a daily struggle to be understood. Let's be real. Ukraine is not built for retirement right now. A war-torn economy, constant instability, and a serious language barrier make it one of the worst places for a black retiree, or any retiree, for that matter. Would you really trade a peaceful retirement for a country where even locals are fleeing for safety? Or do you think there's another place where your retirement savings and sanity will stretch a little further? Number 1. Russia. You ever walk into a room and feel like every conversation just stops? That's everyday life for black expats in Russia. Reports of racial profiling and xenophobia aren't just rumors. From getting denied housing to being randomly questioned by police, black people living in Russia have spoken about the constant, subtle, and sometimes not so subtle hostility. Even soccer players and celebrities have publicly shared their struggles with racism here. Would you really want to spend your retirement years wondering if today's outing comes with an extra dose of side-eye or an uncomfortable encounter? Let's talk about paperwork. Because moving to Russia requires enough red tape to gift-wrap the Kremlin. Want a residency permit? Expect long wait times, endless forms, and visa rules that change on a whim. The process is so confusing that even people born in Russia sometimes struggle with the system. Oh, and don't expect any special treatment for being a retiree. There's no expat fast lane here. You'd think they'd make it easier for foreigners willing to bring their retirement money into the country. But nope, Russia is like an exclusive club that doesn't want new members. Let's not forget the biggest reason why Russia is a retirement disaster: sanctions and instability. Between economic sanctions, banking restrictions, and an ongoing war, Russia is more unpredictable than a reality show finale. If you think you can live comfortably off your US pension here, think again. Banking? Complicated. International money transfers? A headache. 1 minute, everything seems fine. The next, your home country is cutting diplomatic ties, flights are canceled, and you're stuck wondering how to get out. Does that sound like a peaceful retirement to you? Russia takes the crown as the worst place for black retirees. But let's be real, most of the countries on this list have serious downsides. So where should you go instead? Drop a comment if you want me to cover the best countries for black retirees, because trust me, there are places where you'll be welcomed, not just tolerated. Hit that like button, subscribe to Virtual Travel by Brian, and let's make sure your retirement is everything you've dreamed of, without the drama.